Hello there, and thanks for staying with us on the JoyNews channel. This is PM Express. The governing New Patriotic Party is on that scouts for a new presidential candidate. The party will, from tomorrow, begin balloting for 5 individuals who are set to battle it out for the top slot of becoming the leading figure of the governing New Patriotic Party going into the 2024 elections, and who will become the next flag bearer of the party. The initial idea that this was going to be a contest between 5 individuals is beginning to get a very, very, very sharp development as we're now experiencing what you now see on the screens now. Kyerematen, one of the forerunners in the race, announcing to the people of Ghana today that he will no longer be contesting for that vacant slots within the governing New Patriotic Party. So here it is, and you need to know about the announcement that I'm talking about. This is the individual, for those of you who may not be conversant with how he looks like, what he looks like, and of course, the gentle giant, as some within the New Patriotic Party are calling him. But that giant is today falling out, and it's because of the statement he's making to the people of Ghana. Quote, "I wish to confirm that I am honorably withdrawing from the process that will lead to the presidential primaries to be held on the 4th of November 2023. And that's Kyerematen making that decision today, as you see on the screens right now, and pointing out to the people of Ghana that based on a number of reasons, he will not be part of the top 5. Now we know that Alan, of course, is pulling out, leaving the race now for Dr. Mahmoud Obamia, the likes of Kennedy Japan. We also know that the former Greeks Minister, Dr. Kotose, is in the race, and Adainimo being the one coming through as the 5th person, owing to the fact that the former Energy Minister, Boakye Jako, has also opted out of the race. But this statement is what's stoking controversy within the governing New Patriotic Party, knowing that, of course, Kyerematen has, as we know, been a one-time aspirant, and of course has contested President Akufo-Addo in the past. But events leading to his announcement today is because of this, what we see, the Super Delegates Conference, as he claims, in the perspective, and from the perspective of Kyerematen, is that process was skewed. And it's the reason for which, of course, he's cited that grounds as, the reason for which is opting out of the race. He's also pointing to the second issue that you see on your screens, the point about some, cases of violence that erupted when the Special Delegates Conference of the party was held about a fortnight ago. And Kyerematen says he believes in the value of clean campaigning, a campaign that will be devoid of endangering the lives of persons who work for his campaign and work towards his ambition to becoming president. And that's why, of course, he started laying that background immediately after the attack was recorded, on his agent in the Northeast region. He took it a step further by issuing a statement indicating that attack is a blot on the party's integrity when it comes to organizing the presidential race. And we're seeing that today as part of the announcement for which Kyerematen says he's leaving this contest. Now, also, Kyerematen is alluding to intimidation tactics of some varying intensity on delegates. When Boabeng as someone who speaks for, of course, the man Kyerematen joins us, we'll be finding out exactly what he's now terming as intimidation tactics. But a couple of days back, when Boabeng as someone joined us on this show, this very show, with the likes of Nana Komia, he pointed out that there was a certain atmosphere that was created within the New Patriotic Party, a reason for which they believe that there's lots of intimidation skewed at empowering one of the candidates to become the eventual leader. And it's the reason for which Kyerematen is taking none of that. Also, incidents of acts of violence, collusion in voting centers, of course, connecting to the second point about damages suffered when it comes to his polling agent is part of the reasons for which Kyerematen says he's opting out of the race. And he believes that all of these circumstances have one way or the other affected the integrity of the exercise. But a recap of what we're talking about. This is how all of the events pan out. Of course, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, about 2 weeks ago, was all over the place, celebrating and jubilating because, in his view, winning 68.15% of the total votes cast in terms of the Special Delegates Congress portends an eventual victory for him when the party goes for the November 4 race, and is the reason for which we've seen many who support his campaign also say that he will be the eventual winner come November 4. But then, just before the drama was just settling down, this gentleman you see in your picture here, the second in the sport, with 132 votes, I'm talking about Kennedy Ejapong, there was an outburst from him and from his campaign pointing to the same concerns we have this individual with 95 votes representing 10.29% also raised. The point about attacks, allegedly, on some of the agents of these, first and second runners-up in the Special Delegates Conference. But then, at the time, all of these individuals were confident that if you expand the scope and give the chance to more persons, which will be happening in the November 4 polls, where over 200,000 delegates will be participating in the exercise, they see no way by which, allegedly, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and his campaign team will have an upper hand in terms of using incumbency advantage over the two of them. So we're all expectant that, of course, we're going to have the likes of Dr. Efri Ekoto and also Adainmo make that complete set of 5 that will go into the race come November 4, for which we were on the lookout for the showdown from Kennedy Ejapong, as he's promising, and also a good race as the others, including Alan Kyerematen, was promising. But a lot has happened in the last 24 hours, and we know that that will no longer be the case because this man you see here, Alan Kyerematen, has decided to withdraw from the race. We'll be getting into that because there's a need for us to talk about the background of this gentleman, what he holds in terms of constituency within the New Patriotic Party, and how his ratings have been over the past few years within the governing party. So we start off from 2007 because this gentleman has a long-term ambition. He's always held the ambition of becoming President of the Republic, and that's why he contested President Akufo-Addo in 2007. Look at his ratings, 32.30%. That was the rating at the time when he contested the president for the very first time. Now, the party then in 2010, of course, we know that Alan tried again just to make some inroads in the 2012 elections. Still, he didn't succeed, and this time round, of course, his fortunes dwindled. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had become a bit more popular in the party, and that dipped his ratings to somewhere around 19.91%. And that's been the trend ever since the president continued to reign as the leading figure of the party. So in 2014, when this whole contest or exercise of the Super Delegates Conference about, the need to trim down numbers beyond 5 in the NPP was introduced in their constitution, we tried and, of course, run that Super Delegates Conference where you have a special delegate or electoral college streaming down the number of the governing New Patriotic Party in terms of aspirants to 5, tried for the very first time. And when that was done in 2014, Alan Kyerematen was still in the picture. He did not survive. In fact, his ratings dipped further by some 10 percentage points down to 9.87%. And when the college was even expanded, just as we're expecting will happen on November 4, Alan back in 2014 did not have history on his side. Further deep in his ratings, 4.75. But the story changed drastically, of course, when you look at what's happening this time round. As we have President Akufo-Addo receding out of the picture, and we have Alan Kyerematen now coming up against other fresh faces going into the race. Then we see some sort of an ascendancy in terms of the confidence that the delegates are reposing in Alan Kyerematen, and that's why, of course, you see that sharp jump from 4.75 now to 10.29% for Alan Kyerematen in the just ended Super Delegates Conference. But for many, of course, he's also coming up against a new candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who now is winning some 60+ percentage points of the Super Delegates Conference. So some believe that, well, the 10% is not significant to carry him on into the November 4 polls. But this man comes from the Ashanti region, and that's the base of the governing New Patriotic Party. You need to know much more about the trend, right? So take a look at this, the timeline running right from 2004 when he came into the picture and running all throughout this time lapse to 2020. Each and every time you find Alan Kyerematen tilting closer and closer to any candidates, especially President Akufo-Addo, as he has done in the past, you would see that Ashanti appears to give a corresponding, support, where they seem, as we've seen in this graph, to reflect what the mood is in terms of what Alan is feeling. So in 2004, the votes dipped. When, of course, he came onto the picture, then the Ashanti region began to respond favorably. So it's the reason for which many believe that you cannot take Alan Kyerematen out if you want to talk about, this whole picture of trying as much as possible to see what it is that he believes in, a reason for which all believe that his decision to withdraw portends a lot of danger for the New Patriotic Party, because they need him, even as a candidate or otherwise, to be a part of the exercise that we're talking about. And so that's why we are where we are today. What's the future looking like for Alan Kyerematen, who says he'll be making an announcement shortly to tell us what his future is in terms of Ghanaian politics. And that's what we are about to unpack here on PM Express. I'm Blessed Ghana. Welcome to the show. And I'll be telling you about my guest shortly. Please stay. And you're watching PM Express. Let me tell you about, sponsors for this very show you're watching. And of course, Cherry Tree Properties, they are developing spaces as though they were the ones going to occupy the properties themselves. Syntex Tank is also on board with us. It is strong, it is durable, it is tough. And Alomo Bitters experience greatness in every bit of the moments that you enjoy with us here on PM Express. And Ghana Ace Commission is also coming through, supporting with that messaging that you need to know your status. But no matter your water need, Syntex Tank has it all for you. Syntex Tank is the first to actually introduce the double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank is the first to introduce the white inner layer tanks in Ghana. So now they've introduced to you the customer specs order approach, where of course you can order any color, any size of your preference that you would want to have at home. So Syntex Tank is giving you the longest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank provides you here in Ghana. So whatever your needs, your water consumption, size, project or demand, all you need to do is to choose Syntex Tank. They have agents nationwide, so call them today, 0244 335 168, and you can also just go online. You can shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, strong, yet tough. Let me tell you also about Cherry Tree Properties, because as we know it, desires are wishes, beauty is a promise of happiness, but passion is everything you can think about. So if you're thinking about owning your home, all you need to do is to talk to those who build it with passion. With the Sloan Square, a new gated community development which is ongoing at Sakumono, developed by Cherry Tree Properties. That's one of a kind, well-planned luxury community that you'd want to live in. So it's a place you've never experienced. Why don't you call them today? 0553 662 366, and you'll be speaking to Cherry Tree Properties. And they are indicating to you that sophistication and class is indeed their hallmark. We'll talk about the New Patriotic Party now, but I'm sure that by now many of you have heard about the announcement that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Alan Kyerematen will no longer be in the race. It will be now Kennedy Ejapon, the Greek minister, Dr. Akufo-Addo, and possibly Adynimo. Adynimo is in the race. He hasn't pulled out yet, but we know that Boakye Ejako also pulled out of the race when, of course, there was supposed to be a tiebreaker. And it's the reason for which this latest announcement by Alan Kyerematen is stoking a lot of controversy. Many of you talking about it on social media. On X right now, that's, the number one trend in Ghana as we speak. So why is everybody talking about the decision of one man to, step down his ambition of becoming president for the Republic? Let's speak to Yao Boabing Asamoah, his campaign spokesperson for the Alan Kyerematen campaign. He'll be joining us shortly to share his concerns with us and why they believe their candidate will no longer be the best to be in that race. Nana Komia speaks for the Bawumia campaign. He's also on with us, and Professor Kobi Mensah is a political marketing consultant. And guess what? We're fortunate to have Haruna Mohammed, who's the NPP's Deputy General Secretary. And it's good to have you in studio with us because lots of questions for you to answer, both from your grassroots, the grassroots of your party, and Alan Kojo Kyerematen. But I'll come back to you shortly, sir. So let's get to hear why Alan Kojo Kyerematen is stepping down from that race. Lawyer Boabeng SMO is joining us via phone now. Good evening to you, Counsel. Thank you for speaking to us. Not a good evening for many of you who support Alan Kojo Kyerematen, but he's made his decision. He says that he will no longer contest as the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, but will be telling us what role he will be playing in Ghanaian politics in the days to come. What does that mean?
In terms of the goodness or otherwise of the history, it depends on where you stand and the relativity of it.
I see. So it must be good evening to you then.
but then, I noticed that you have a very favorite slide where you seek to look at Alan Kyerematen's progress in successive congresses, conferences in terms of numbers. Numbers are very convenient. It's like a football game. You have a disputed penalty, you have an injury, you have whatever. At the end of the day, it's just the numbers come up. 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, 2-2, without the history, the story. Those numbers you keep showing don't have the import of humanity behind them. This is a systematic process where you have the party being brought under control over a period of time. And Mr. Kyerematen's name being bastardized and squeezed to the point where anybody who is an objective observer in this party will tell you that you couldn't even mention Mr. Kyerematen's name, much more be had to be a supporter of him. So numbers are dehumanizing. Numbers don't tell the story. But the story is that after consistently engaging over several conferences, fortunately or unfortunately for Mr. Kyerematen, he come out at the other end of it, not necessarily pleasantly or fairly, but many, many times in a way that has not reflected his true worth to the party. So yes, same process all over again. Mm-hmm. You have a situation where you are running a system to find a successor to the current president who is leaving office. And right from the beginning, there's impunity on the part of the party. Rules are being made and changed anyhow. Rules are being made in a way designed to favor a certain process. It's a skewed process right from the beginning, and it demonstrates itself in the 10th of 26th August. And then from our investigation and our intel, it is going to go on beyond 26, right into 4th November. So there's no point in lending himself to that process. Eventually, it's a question of his supporters, the many, many thousands who are being denied the truth. Because you have an unwilling vote, because it's being imposed. The vote is being imposed. It's unwilling. But in the end, bare numbers are what everybody will depend on. So supporters have to appreciate and understand that happily, as I speak, Mr. Kyerematen, as you well noted yourself in your intro, Mr. Kyerematen is not going to deny himself to the people of Ghana. He said that he consults, and after consultations, he will come out and define his role in the political process in Ghana. For me, it's very instructive. And for me, I'm happy at that, because this is a special talent. This is an exceptional talent we can't lose as a nation. Mr. Kyerematen is a very deep thinker. He is not one to, throw about one-liners and the happenings on platforms and all that. But whenever he produces something, he grows and it generates fruit for a lot more people than you would expect. So all his programming is material that will benefit us going forward. One example, before I know you have several questions to ask, one example is his proposal to make the political party we have, that we love so dearly, more financially independent and functional. Since we started the Fourth Republic. Rules that we created for ourselves. Nobody has realized that the rules allow the political party to be competitive in the commercial marketplace. He has found that out, and it is his desire to make sure that the new patriotic party is able to compete, generate enterprise, and grow its financial strength so that it is always independent of government and capable of taking its own decisions. We've been grappling with party funding issues in this nation for a long time. Nobody realized that we could enable the party to be competitive in the commercial marketplace. He was prepared to do that, and he is prepared to continue doing it in his Agenda 2030, the 10-point plan to modernize the new patriotic party, as well as the great transformational plan.
Okay.
Mr. Kyerematen has a lot of it.
I see.
To have it.
Okay, and the fact that issues of intimidation, claims of attacks on your agents, all of these issues have been enumerated in the previous statement he released just after the Special Delegates Conference. This is my question to you, and this is what I'm interested in. Is Alan Kojo Kyerematen still interested in becoming President of the Republic of Ghana?
This morning, a very senior fellow in this country, who is a member of the government, called me and told me that I should be patient because it is God who determines the leadership, and that when God makes that determination, it doesn't always go to those who deserve it, and neither does it always end up in a place where they don't deserve either. So God's ways in terms of leadership are very interesting.
Lawyer Babwing Asamoah, I'm asking a very direct question. Is Alan Kojo Kyerematen still interested in becoming president of this republic?
And I'm answering you very directly that he has told you he's going to define his political role. The rest of it is to God. He told you clearly in his statement that he's going to consult his well-wishers, he's going to consult his supporters, his loved ones, his family, stakeholders who have a major interest in his continued contribution to the political process in Ghana. And he's going to tell us, he's going to define his role and tell us in due course.
If that consultation process delays any further beyond tonight, that would mean that the New Patriotic Party will be carrying out its balloting exercise tomorrow without Alan Kojo Kyerematen. Technically, he'll be out of the race.
Of course. He's opted out of the race. It doesn't depend on not participating in the balloting tomorrow. You have a statement before you, my brother.
The options.
Out of the November 4th process.
Yeah, precisely. The options now left for Alan Kojo Kyerematen to contest as an independent candidate or to wait his turn, and that will be in the next 4 years.
Happily, he tells us, he will tell us how he's going to conduct himself politically going forward after consultation.
Is he willing to be patient for the next 4 years when the party goes on another set?
He's been patient since 1996. In 1996, the Young Executive Forum wanted him to run for president. They were the powerhouse in the NPP at that time, and he was their chair. He waited for President Akufo-Addo to go ahead. In 2008, when he didn't have to, at the Legon Conference, in 2007, entering 2008 at the Legon Conference, after he tied with Nana-Addo and he was supposed to go for a second round, he voluntarily fixed the mic and conceded to Nana. He was patient. He's been patient since then, all this while. He's still a very patient man.
And he will be patient for whoever emerges as the next flag bearer of the NPP, I guess.
Is it?
He will be patient for the next leader of the party.
Mr. Kyerematen is a quintessential politician and political technician. He's a diplomat, he delivers. Mr. Kyerematen has a clean, exemplary record of service to this country through the New Patriotic Party. He has brought about several innovations in this country. My personal prayer is that we gain benefit from him, seeing him implement his Agenda 2030 and his GTP. How, as I speak to you, I can't tell yet.
Right.
Man proposes and God will dispose. But he has told us in a statement that he's going to consult, come back to us, and define his political role going into the future. He hasn't quit politics.
Okay. And the last time we had this conversation, and of course when the claims of, incumbency advantage, intimidation tactics came up, one man was also beside you here in studio, and that's Nana Akomia. Nana Akomia, good evening. It's a pleasure to be having you join the conversation once more. Now we have an official communication coming through from the candidate.
There's so much.
Lawyer Boabe, you can spare a few more minutes with us?
Before you do, Nana, I'll be very grateful.
Okay.
There's a lot of pressure on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please let me wrap up.
Okay, I get that point then. Okay, yes.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay, yes. The point you were building up about the future, that's where we left off. The point about whether he would consider going independent, the calls for him to do so, and what possibly the implications will be for the New Patriotic Party. You are closer to him. Do you know if he will opt for that? Because that will remain the only vehicle for him if he has to contest as President of the Republic. That's what I was pointing.
It's going to be a subject of wide consultation amongst his family, friends, loved ones, and supporters. Mr. Kyerematen has teeming supporters in the political process in Ghana, and he will not abandon them. He will engage them, he will think with them, and he will come up with a process that makes sure that we benefit from him as a nation politically.
Okay, you keep making the same point, so I'll move on to the part about the question he asked as to how the NPP got where it is today. And then he goes ahead to point out that the party is on its way to self-destruction. What's the meaning of that? That's an anti-party comment. You wouldn't find Alan Kyerematen making that comment.
It's a straightforward, a very truthful, courageous comment. If you have a process that is skewed, that is deliberately, systematically, and consistently skewed in a particular direction, and that everybody seems to be automated to follow, then it means that it portends trouble. This party's character has changed over the years. This party's ethos appears to have changed over the years, to the point where now you have a teleguided process all designed to aid one aspirant, and nobody is looking to the left or to the right. It's not right. It just is not right. You have a situation where a party meets, decides to hold a conference, and the people over 16 regions. And what happens? Small groups of people are terrorized to vote in a particular way, and next thing you know, you take a decision that the aspirant suggested that everybody, just like we select vice chairman, everybody should vote at once for 5 people. It's cross-tabulated. We have the 5 at once. They said, no, we want you to for individuals. Then they were asked, what happens if you vote for individuals, you don't get 5, or you get a tie? They go for another election. They didn't think it through because they were determined to do what they wanted to do. Now, you go and you get a tie, you unilaterally decide not to have another election. Is that fair to the contestants who went into the tie? That kind of level of impunity is what we are talking about. You have rules that say that no minister or active government appointee is going to be an agent in elections. Then once you write to say you have unilaterally changed the electoral rules in terms of the tie, you add in there that you are now going to allow ministers and others to be agents on November 4th.
As far as I recall, that's the contest for the honourable.
The party is not on its feet. The party has been emasculated. The party, we have all acquiesced in this process. The party is not thinking on its feet. The party is being manipulated. The party is not.
And throughout this enterprise, Council, we've not seen your candidate mention just a single name or put out the name of any member of the party as contributing to this problem that you have identified.
We don't have to put out names. The party itself knows. We don't have to come in and have names on Joy FM before the party knows what's happening. It's a party, it's an association. It's an association. Group. We know what's happening in there.
All right.
Everybody who is listening to me within the party knows what I'm talking about.
I see. Fortunately, your Deputy General Secretary is here, so we'll take it from there. Lawyer Bobby Asamoah, thank you for speaking to us. Indeed, and we'll wait to see what the future will hold for your candidate. Professor Kobi Mensah is with us. Honourable, you'd have to hold on a bit as we will, of course, be bringing all of the questions for you to answer as we look forward to the future of the party. But Professor Kobi Mensah, the announcement coming through now from Alan Kyerematen, and also what we've just heard from his spokesperson, the options on the table for Alan: go independent, support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia or Kennedy Ejapon or Dr. Koto Efriye or Adainimo if they are the ones to, emerge victorious out of the exercise. What do you see as the option now for someone who has held this long ambition to lead the New Patriotic Party, the party he says he loves?
Right. Thank you, Blessed, for having me. Obviously, this announcement was, very, it was not unexpected. It was very surprising indeed. Quite a number of people have expressed surprise. Why? Because we know that Alan Kyerematen, one of the stalwarts of, the NPP, and especially, the entire Ghanaian political landscape, to say that he's actually pulling out of the November election, I think it was quite surprising. Now, obviously, he identifies issues to underpin his reasons for quitting. And I think that the party has to take those issues seriously, because this is not the first time he's highlighted the persecution of his members being, one of the reasons why he's trying to stay out of the race. In 2007, he highlighted that the party should take measures to address the intimidation of his supporters. Of course, he's highlighted the same thing. He's highlighted quite a number of issues, which I think, in my view, actually undermine the electoral processes put forward by the party. Don't forget, he's not the only person who had highlighted this. Of course, what led to the outburst of Kennedy Japan can be linked to this particular issue. Boache Jaku had complained, other people had complained. So I think that it is a serious issue that the party has to, address, because it sort of illegitimizes the November process. Because obviously, when we talk about procedural democracy, we're looking at not only participation, but representation of all quarters. We're also looking at the perceived credibility of the procedure. And that is what makes a procedural democracy what it is. And so if someone actually identifies some of these issues as the reasons why they withdraw from the process, then of course it illegitimizes the process.
But so here's the bigger challenge for Alan now. All of the concerns he's raised will be thrown to, the dogs, because the one making the complaint is out of the race. It does, go without saying that his problems will follow him as well, because now there's no one to complain, there's no one to put those concerns before the election committee. And there's basically no complaint, if we're to take it that way.
I don't think that's how democracy works. Remember, in our political history, if you cast your mind back in 1992, when the NPP led by Eduboahin actually wrote, the stolen verdict, they decided to pull out of the parliamentary process to illegitimize, the entire outcome of it. Obviously, the country would suffer some kind of democratic, reputation. And so that is what happens. You wouldn't say that because he's actually withdrawn from the race, the complaint goes nowhere. It does. And I'm sure the party leadership, especially for a party that actually prides itself as a due process party, democratic party, would take some serious look at this particular issue, and perhaps would take some procedures to address it. I think they should have actually done that even when they set up the committee to look at the aftermath of the superdelegate. Of course, you asked the question about whether he's going to throw his weight, behind any of the other candidates. I don't think so. I don't actually see it coming because clearly he actually entered this race as his candidacy, as in to win the elections. If he's out of the race, and as he pointed out in the letter, that he will let us know, his political future in the country, perhaps it signals some kind of role. Remember in 2007, after that, he had actually gone to represent the country on the international front. He became, I think, what do you call it, the World Trade, of the country. So perhaps there are quite a number of avenues that perhaps he would be able to serve the country. As to in what capacity, I'm not sure, and none of us can actually say. Maybe we can make some guess.
And that's why I was seeking to know from Yao Babing what the future holds for him. His long-held ambition of becoming president of the republic. The political party might just be a vehicle, but the ambition, the character, and the persona still remains. And that's why I'm asking the question about possibilities of this individual going independent. From a strategic point of view, will that be the best option out for Alan Kyerematen?
I think that it would be one of the fundamental shocks, or one of the key things that could actually happen to this country. Remember, in those days when, we're having independent candidates, we've had, other personalities contest on the so-called, third-party platforms like CPP and PPP afterwards. We had Hindu leadership of CPP. It didn't actually make the impact that people expected it. Of course, Hindu, a mogul in business, but didn't have the political clout at the time. He moved on to form PPP. He never had that impact. We had Abu Sakara on CPP platform, couldn't have impact. If Alan Kyerematen and if he goes independent, I think that can actually strategically change the path of this country. Remember, in recent times than before, there had been a lot of crave towards a third force. And then, of course, the forces, so-called, that we've had in the past did not have the kind of weight that I think Alan has. If he had to go independent, I think that would be a landmark. And perhaps it could cause a particular, especially for NPP, if he decides to go independent.
Critical point you're raising there, and Haruna, let me bring you at this point, because probably that's why Alan Kyerematen is telling us tonight that the party, has gotten to a point where it's inching closer and closer to self-destruction. The NPP is almost collapsing, right?
Which NPP?
The NPP you belong to.
Almost doing what?
Yeah, you have the statement right in front of you. Right?
NPP is not collapsing. I vehemently disagree with that point. But first and foremost, I want to extend greetings to all those who are watching this program. Very important program and very educative. I don't think the NPP is breaking up. The NPP is the largest political party in Ghana. I can even say it's the largest political party in Africa. We are the beacon of democracy. So definitely the party will not be breaking. We have received this news from the media, though we have not officially received communications from a very senior member of our party, who is Alan Kyerematen. The party has not received any official communication yet.
Oh, so he did not write to the party before putting this announcement out?
Yeah.
So you're treating this basically as though you're not aware, you're just seeing it in the media?
We have not officially received any communication from Mr. Alan Kyerematen. We have not, as a party. We know the due process would be that this statement or a letter will be written to the Presidential Elections Committee, for which a very important event will be happening tomorrow.
I was just about asking that question, because what you're telling us now is instructive. Alan Kyerematen has not written to the party. Tomorrow you're doing the balloting for the 5. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Kennedy Ejapon, Alan Kyerematen is himself, Adainimo, and the Greek minister, Dr. Akufo-Addo. Are you telling us now that you will make provision for all these candidates?
All of them has been called.
Including Alan Kyerematen?
Including Alan Kyerematen has been called. The elections committee will be waiting to receive him tomorrow, or his assigned or his agent, for the balloting. In that state, if he decides to bring in the letter there, or an information is carried to the Presidential Elections Committee, I think that it will be officially dealt with and communicated to the party.
But as it stands now, no official communication?
We have not seen any official communication to him to that effect, but we have seen the press statement that is in the hands of the media, and we are discussing same because of the confirmation of his agents who are speaking to the matter, more especially my former boss, who is Yao Bobina Samoa, to confirm that this actually came from our very senior member of our party.
Okay, at least I work in the media, so this is the second statement I'm seeing from the Allen campaign. The initial one was raising concerns about an attack on one of his polling agents, and then he continues to say it was a blot on the integrity of the process of finding a flag bearer for the party. Now he's issued another statement. When you opened up, through the elections committee to meet all of the presidential aspirants, did he raise any of these concerns with the party?
I think that the Presidential Elections Committee has been the best committee ever. Mr. Alan Kyerematen personally had expressed very good sentiments for this committee. All the meetings of the committee has been very, very transparent, very acceptable to every candidate. A platform was created for all of them. And all of them will attest to the fact that this is the best committee ever in the history of the organization of presidential primaries in the NPP.
You're telling us 5 points he raises, no intimidation tactics, and I'm sure that you have all of the concerns.
Yes.
No intimidation tactics.
First.
No attacks were recorded. At least for the attacks, we confirmed that.
First, let me address very key issues that borders. One, there are issues that borders on the constitution of the party.
Okay. Yes.
There are issues that borders on violence. There are issues that borders on his own observation and opinion, which does not represent the opinion of the party. So I am going to pick these issues and address them as a party.
Okay, so let's do that
but
quickly.
Not speaking for any candidate.
I get that. So let's do that quickly. So let's take the first one. Yes.
One, I saw on your screen when you talked about. He said that the delegates conference, the super delegates conference, was skewed to one individual.
Yes.
I disagree. By using the constitution of our party, this very constitution, Article 1319 of the party's constitution describes the composition of the delegates to the superdelegates conference.
It's predetermined.
It's predetermined.
So you didn't have any influence over it as a national leader.
To skew it to anybody.
So he was aware that these were the individuals who were going to contest. Elect.
Very much aware that, and this is very clear, nobody had skewed any delegates conference to an individual.
Okay, how about the intimidation tactics?
The second point you raised was damage to polling agents.
Yes, the attacks,
the polling agents.
Part of the,
Everybody is aware. This is a public knowledge that the General Secretary of the party took it upon himself to petition the committee responsible to look at this matter. That is the disciplinary committee, and mentioned names and cited some pockets of violence that has happened in some centers that has been brought to his attention.
But whatever be the
secondly,
case, that observation,
the aspirants also raised petitions.
But I'm saying that we'll agree that portion, we will all agree he has checked the box. Indeed, there was violence. Indeed, there was an attack.
There was pockets of violence.
So that's checked.
Not everywhere. Okay. But these violence issues were referred to the presidential, were referred to the committee. That is the disciplinary committee that is chaired by the Rose Minister. And the sittings are ongoing. Today, Kennedy Japan appeared before the committee. I'm not a member of the committee, but I'm at the secretariat. Before you pass to the door of the committee, I would be able to see. So these matters of damage and violence matters has been referred. The party is looking at.
Let's see with the others.
The aspects of intimidation tactics. Go and look at the last release of the Presidential Elections Committee. It was very clear. Caption: protocol measures for special electoral college elections on Saturday, August 27th. These were measures that were put out by the Presidential Elections Committee. And when you read it, you would realize that nobody was given the opportunity to have an oversight responsibility of any other candidate. So these were matters that was agreed to by members.
You're basically suggesting that all of the concerns Alan is raising, the party has dealt with it adequately.
For the violence issues has been referred to the committee responsible for that. Their team also petitioned the elections committee, and the elections committee has captured portions that the general secretary did not have an oversight over to petition. So all these matters are before the Presidential Elections Committee, and the Presidential Elections Committee has referred those matters to the disciplinary committee as contained in Article 4 of our party's constitution, for which they have the power to investigate, because they cannot just sit down and then says that because it has been reported, but they have to investigate. And these are the functions of the committee.
Okay, for the sake of time, and I get the point you're making, that basically it's been referred.
It's been referred. So we are giving attention to
all
almost
of the concerns.
All these concerns
now
that have been
it's
raised.
confirmed, and whether you like it or not, Alan has gone, to the public as to whether or not he would, tell the party tomorrow. We'll wait to see. But he says he's out of the race. That's settled. If Alan Kyerematen decides to go as an independent candidate, will the NPP welcome that decision?
For me, sitting here for the party, before then, I have told you that we have not received any official communications from him, and his decision to step aside or not to contest in this race comes as a shocking to those of us who have followed the media space, because we are having this interaction because we have had the opportunity to follow the media space, and we have had several conversations and reports from factions of these aspirants. So we need to bring clarity to some of these matters. But as to whether Alan Kyerematen would go to independent, I don't think so, because he has said in his letter that he's going to make consultations and also to provide a roadmap to his political contribution to Ghana. So I don't think this one is a matter for us.
But you'll be calling him tonight, I guess, just to find out if they'll be available tomorrow for the ballot.
Yes, but there were some key points that was
very briefly you just
by my former boss. That is, he said that these elections were automated. It was automated for people to follow. And I don't think that this was one of the issues that... And then the unilateral decision, that was mentioned, the party never took a unilateral decision. It was the National Council that seizes the power in Article 10.3.1 of the party's
Unfortunately,
constitution.
we're being timed out now. Apologies to Professor Kobi-Mensah. 30 seconds, any message to the grassroots of the party?
Well, for me, what I have to tell the grassroots of the party is that tomorrow we'll be going ahead with the balloting, and I want to urge every member of the party, let's be very circumspect in the discussions that we'll have on this letter that is issued by Alan Kyerematen. He's a senior member of this party. He has the right to get his observations. He has the right to have his own opinions, and he has the right to express that. Let's think that all of us, we need everybody, not a single person that will be left behind. We need everybody, including Alan supporters, that will support for us to be able to break the
It's just unfortunate that we're wrapping up. Professor Kobi-Mensah, 30 seconds for you. Any final comments as we wrap up?
Parties to be progressive, and we need a very stronger democracy. I think NPP need to take these concerns seriously and try and make sure that they can address it to the betterment of the democratic processes in our country.
Okay, we're grateful, and we'll see how all of that will play out within the governing New Patriotic Party. Thanks to Professor Kobi-Mensah, thanks to lawyer Bobby Ngesemo, and also to you, Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Of course, definitely it's just the start of the reorganization process, and so we'll see how all of that will play out. I'm Blessed Sogan. We'll see you again. This has been PM Express. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.